Alright, so as you can see, we're back. This video is going to be a little bit different, but we really want to be honest with you guys. We've noticed a little trend in the property YouTube community. So a lot of the people making content about this stuff are making it look a lot easier than it actually is.
So a lot of people have been saying that it's easy to get into. You can start with no money. You can be financially free in a matter of weeks. It's all passive income.
A lot of them are painting a picture that you can just get suddenly successful in a blink of an eye, and then you can just go on holiday all the time and just buy a Lamborghini and all that stuff.
Yeah, live out on the beach somewhere in Dubai, treating yourself. So everyone just hypes it up and just tells you how sick it is, but no one really goes into what can go wrong or what the pitfalls are.
So although rent to rent is a really good business model, we absolutely love it. It's changed our life, and it's like kickstarted our journey into property and given us loads of experience, and whilst getting paid for it at the same time. I think it's very important that you guys know the pitfalls and the possible downsides to this sort of business and things that no one will sort of tell you about. I feel if you want to get into this business, you need to have a realistic picture of what it's actually going to be like.
We haven't really seen many people speak about the realistic side of things. They only ever tell you the good parts or just sell you the dream and tell you how amazing and how easy it all is to get into. But no one really goes into what can go wrong.
Yeah, well, they'll show you examples of people who are absolutely smashing it, or they've got success straight away, and they're not really showing you the people that are struggling or the amount of failures you can go through just by jumping into this sort of business.
So in this video, we want to touch on 5 things that no one will tell you about rent to rent.
So this probably won't make us any money, it probably won't help us sell any more courses, but if you want to get into this stuff, I feel that you really need to have a realistic idea of what you're jumping into.
Number 1, you can't start rent to rent with no money. So I don't know where that came from. You can start with low money, but you can't start it with no money. So
that's one of the strategies where you can literally put a very little amount of money compared to a deposit for buying a buy-to-let property, but it's not a no money down thing.
Yeah. All right, so let's just think about it logically. So you're going to need to set your company up. So that's a cost. Who's going to be paying for that if you've got no money? Once you've set your company up, you're going to need to get compliant.
You need the right insurances. You're going to need to be with a redress scheme. You're going to have to pay for the ICO because you're going to be dealing with customer details. So that's going to set you back at least £1,000 just straight away without even looking at getting any deals.
Yeah, so if you've got no money, who's going to be paying that for you? And once your company is set up and you're compliant and you've got the right insurances in place, you're going to need like a website. So yes, you can make a website for free, but you're going to have to buy the domain. You're going to have to pay for the hosting. There's all these costs that people don't talk about because they're saying that it's no money down.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, you can't just, who's going to pay for it then? You have to pay for it.
Yeah, so don't get us wrong. There is creative ways that you can come up with where you put as little of your own money as possible, but all of those costs are before you even get a deal. So what are you going to do? You're going to speak to an investor and say, can you help set up my company? Or
there is definitely ways where you can use other people's money, and like you can JV with people. You've got the experience, they've got the money, you're going to do the work, they're going to pay, that sort of thing. But like, you're still gonna, there still are costs. Like there is definitely costs. It's not no money down. So yeah, clear that one up.
Yeah.
So we've made a full video showing you the exact costs of setting up a rent-to-rent company and how much money you're ideally going to need to start rent-to-rent. So that will be up here somewhere.
So number 2 is it is not passive income.
So passive income is where you get paid passively, so you're not doing anything. But in rent-to-rent, you've got to do a lot. There's a lot of things that you have to do. Don't get me wrong, it is so much more passive than the standard 9 to 5 or most jobs that you're going to have to do. But it's not passive. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to go on viewings. You're going to have to like send out letters. You're going to have to phone a lot of agents. You're going to have, if you get a deal, you're going to have to do a lot of viewings for the tenants. You're going to have to drive around. You're going to have to manage the tenants, deal with a lot of tenant issues, deal with maintenance issues.
Basically, you're always going to have to do work for that money.
Yeah, and then obviously you can build up to a point where you've got a manager in place. You've got a couple of employees running it, doing viewings.
But you're going to have to manage those people. You're still going to be doing work. So you can make it more passive, but like getting into rent to rent, you're not going to get 1 or 2 deals, and then that's financial freedom, and you're just getting passive income for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so sort of, they don't say it exactly, but this is the way they sort of say it, is like you get a deal, then you fill it up with tenants, and then boom, you're getting £1,000 a month, and then you just go on to your next one, and then you just carry on just earning £1,000 a month, no matter what. You just keep getting it, and you can just kick back and do nothing. It's not really like that at all. It's just not like that. Like, you will get a lot of issues. We don't get too many issues, to be honest, but there is still work to do. So that's what it is. The only person it is truly passive for is the landlord. That's the service that you're offering to them, and that's why it's so good for them and appealing for them, because they are HMO landlords. They know what it's like to have to deal with a load of tenants, deal with issues. If they don't have to deal with that anymore and take a little bit less of a cut to save up all of their time and free up a bit more of their life to guarantee their income.
Not only that as well, we also don't charge them any fees. So if they were to go with a lettings agent to manage their HMO, there's going to be tenant fine fees that they're charging, as well as like the management cost. There's going to be loads of other costs for the landlord. So although we are offering a slightly lower rent, a lot of the times it works out that they get paid more with working with a renter income
in the long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is who it's passive for. They are the ones who they're just sitting back, they own an asset and they get paid every single month, whether it, no matter what. So that's who it's passive for. It's not passive for us. But it's very good for us. We learn a lot about property and we get paid for it at the same time. So it's one of them trade-offs.
All right, so number 3 is you're going to be facing a lot of rejection, you're going to have a lot of stress, and you're going to get a lot of setbacks. So with rent to rent, you're going to need to have a really thick skin. So you're going to be making a lot of calls to agents and you're going to be getting a hell of a lot of no's. You're then going to need to negotiate with a lot of landlords, and again, a lot of the times you probably get a no. You're going to have to view a lot of properties, put a lot of offers in, and a lot of the times they're not going to get accepted, and then you're going to be back at square one trying to find deals again. So if you don't have a thick skin, a lot of people might get told no, and then they might just give up on it.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing having to have a thick skin. It's not a bad thing facing a lot of rejection. That's pretty much what you have to face in any fucking business that you're ever going to do. But it's just not really something I spoke about. It's more like they just show a lot of the creators on YouTube. They just show people that are smashing it, all the successful people, all the people that just got 2 or 3 deals in one day or something, like mad. But like,
they don't speak about all of the setbacks that they had, or all of the stress, or all of the rejection that they faced to get those deals or to get to the position that they're in now.
Yeah, so for example, we could have done 20 viewings, made offers on 15 of them, and then one of them get accepted, and that's like in the space of 2 months, and then maybe that deal fell out of bed, and then you've done 2 months and you've got nowhere. For example, I can't remember who said it, but they was explaining a comedian who would be like, you always think like, how are they so funny? They're just literally hilarious, and every joke they say, it gets an amazing reaction. But we didn't see them 10 years ago when they were going to bars and practicing their jokes and seeing which ones were good, which ones got no laughs. And then maybe they say 10 jokes and then only 2 of them got laughs. So then they'll go home and be like, oh, I'm not using them other jokes, so I'll try some more. And then they'll come back and they got a couple more funny jokes. And then, so that they're just like facing rejection, just losing. But that's part of the journey. So you would not have heard of that comedian if they didn't go through all that like hardness and struggling and rejection and setbacks. That is actually part of it. That is, you have to deal with that if you're going to get into business, and that's something that isn't really spoke about that often. When we started, we didn't really know anything. We didn't know what to do. We wasn't sure whether to follow up with agents because maybe we might lose a good lead or a good connection because we don't know what we're saying, or we just didn't understand a lot of the stuff that goes into it. So we had to go through a lot of failing, a lot of setbacks, and a lot of trial and error to sort of get better and see what works, and see what I say to agents that works, and see what I say to agents that makes them don't want to talk to us. We've gone through so many failures and so many things have gone wrong for us, but we just carried on going. That's what you have to keep doing. You just have to keep going, get a thick skin.
Take it on the chin and just crack on.
Yeah, like it doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. That's it, that's all it is.
Yeah. More examples of us, facing a lot of stress and setbacks is when we got our first 2 rent-to-rent deals. We thought we could complete all the work that needed doing within the space of a couple of weeks, but ended up taking over a month. So we're having to guarantee the landlord rent, and the rent day's coming up and we haven't got any tenants yet. So that's a stressful situation, and that can make a lot of people crumble. So yeah, I mean, not saying it wasn't stressful for us, it was very stressful for us. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of things like that.
So yeah, if maybe you've started, you're halfway through your journey, or you've been trying. I know people that have literally been trying to get a deal for a year. They've just got a deal now. So like that, how much do you want it?
Yeah, the only time you're ever going to fail is if you give up. When you do fail or something doesn't go your way, you just learn from it and keep going. The only time you actually fail is if you just give up.
Yeah. So just to summarise that, you can't really just make a couple calls, get a couple deals, be financially free by the end of the week, and just like
no stress whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just not
and
gonna
passive
happen.
income for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4 is there is a lot of hidden costs. So with rent to rent, there's loads of hidden costs that for some reason a lot of people don't speak about. So we're going to go through them now.
I don't even think they purposely miss it out. It's just forgotten about. Like so many little things that
it all adds up.
Yeah, it's like I never even thought about it, to be honest.
So let's say, for example, you are in a 9-to-5 job at the moment, but you've been researching about property, you found the rent to rent strategy, you want to get into it and you want to start your own property management company. There's going to be a lot of hidden costs that you might not think about. So the biggest one is going to be time, because think about it, you're spending all of your time at that job. Now for you to book a whole day of viewings, or have a good amount of time to meet agents, build a good network with them, you're going to have to take time off work to do that. You might be able to try squeeze it all in on a Saturday, but it's quite likely you're going to have to take a lot of time off work to do that.
Yeah. So also there's petrol costs. You've got to drive around, and like you might view, say for example, your target area is an hour away. You've got to drive there and back, and then you've got to do all these viewings, and you're constantly just trying to book days off of work to do viewings. It is doable. You could just phone agents on your lunch breaks and on your breaks, and then you can book a day worth of whole viewings on a certain day where you're not going to be at work, or you book one day off. But yeah, those are some costs that you're going to face as well.
Yeah, so in our situation as well, there was a point where our car broke down and we still had to do viewings in Southampton, which is like an hour drive away for us, for tenants to move into the property. So we're then having to pay for trains and coaches, or even borrowing our mates' cars or getting lifts just to do these viewings, and sometimes the tenant might not even show up. We know a few people as well that are doing rent to rent or been getting into rent to rent, and they haven't got a car. So when they're doing viewings, they're having to book more time off work so that they can factor in the travel. So obviously it's a lot longer to get a few buses to get to the property to do a viewing with an agent, or get a few trains. So that's costs there that people don't really think about.
As well, you have to pay for a legal guy to look over your contracts. Like you might have a really good template, you might have literally a contract that's written up by a legal guy anyway, but you need to have someone look over it for that specific deal. And that's, you're always going to negotiate different terms and different ways that you want to do things depending on what landlord you're speaking to or what agent. So you've always got to make sure that you pay someone to do that. It's going to cost about £200-300. So yeah, and then imagine you spend £200 on direct to vendor letters, you take 3 days off of work, which is coming out of your wage, then you've got to pay for petrol, you do all these things, you're trying to get deals, and then you get a deal accepted, and then it falls out of bed, and then you've got to carry on. That's literally what can happen. So it's not really told to us when we're starting out for some reason, but just think about it, it's true, isn't it? It's what you're going to have to pay.
And then let's say once you get a deal as well, there are going to be some costs that come up that you might not think about. So an example for us, with one of our rent to rent deals, we had a really high electricity bill. So usually it's around £100-150 for the electricity, but for the past couple months it's shot up to like £550-600 just for the electric. Now what we've had to get an electrician round and see what the issue was. Is it that there's a faulty appliance in there? Are we paying someone else's electricity as well, because there's 2 meters in that particular property? So there was costs that we had to pay then, and then what it turns out is that it's because the property has only electric heaters, and what the tenants are doing are keeping the heating on full whack and then having their windows open. So that's just draining all of the electricity. But that's another cost there that you wouldn't have factored in when you was doing your numbers of getting a deal.
So I don't really want to scare you about rent to rent, because for us, a rent to rent is amazing. Like, it is literally like, it's low money down and you're gonna make your money back fast, and it's high cash flow compared to like buy to lets. But
you've got to be realistic.
Yeah, and I feel like you guys really need to know that the real picture of what you're getting into. So all of these things you can put protocols in place to minimize these risks. So for example, if maintenance costs are creeping up, you just want to always put a little bit away each month to cover those things, so you've got a bit of a contingency. You don't want to just keep spending all your money and reinvesting and paying yourself a large wage and stuff like that. You want to always keep a certain amount.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's there's a lot of hidden costs that you might not think about when you're getting into rent to rent, or a lot of people might not, might forget to mention them.
Yeah, we spent quite a while through trial and error of seeing what works and what doesn't work and building out a framework. So yeah, that only comes through experience, and just keep on doing it.
So number 5 is you're now going to be managing the property and managing the tenants.
So this one people do talk about, but it's sort of sold to you in a way where you get the deal and you get the tenants in, and then that's it. It's all done. Then you get more deals, and then you just get rich and buy your Lamborghini, and that's it.
But no one actually explains to you that, once you get your deal and you put your tenants in, like, you've got your property management company. You need to manage the property. You need to manage the tenants. No one's going to do that for you. That's what you need to do now.
So a lot of tenants might not get on. They might argue about who left what where, or tenants might argue about who's going to take out the bin, or who took out the bin last week instead of just taking the initiative and just taking out the bin.
Tenants might be calling you saying that people have been stealing their foods.
All these little things you actually have to deal with in a professional manner. And like, we had once where tenants were ringing us and noticed the fire alarm wouldn't turn off. Like, we can't just be like, oh yeah, well, what do you want me to do? See in a bit. Like, we have to deal with it. So yeah, that one's a little bit of a short one. But when you're getting into rent to rent, you can't just get into it to think, this is my ticket to freedom, I'm never going to have to work again. It's just not that. Like, this is you changing life, escaping a rat race and building a company where you can actually earn lots and lots of money, but you have to run it as a business, and you have to run it properly. You can't just jump into it and it's not like Bitcoin, where if you bought it, like, it's just, it's a business.
Yeah, and if you're not educated, then you're going to come across a lot of mistakes, and it could cost you quite a lot. If you don't deal with a tenant situation properly, you might get, they might want to take it further, you might get fines. You need to really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that being said, rent to rent overall has been amazing for us. It's a great property strategy that we got into with low money, not no money, but low money. We gained a lot of experience, a lot of property knowledge, met a lot of great people, and cash flow.
Absolute game changer for us.
Yeah, cash flow at the same time as well. So
yeah, but we just wanted to make this video because we feel like if you're going to jump into this, you want to get started into this, you really need to have a realistic picture of what it is that you're getting into. So I hope you found this helpful. So rent to rent for us, literally 1,000% worth it. So if you're serious about rent to rent and you see it as a long-term thing, and you this is what you want to get into, then I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you bear it in mind. And yeah, hold on a minute. Smash that motherfucking like button right now.
Yeah, make sure you smash the likes, drop the comments, subscribe, comment what you want to see next. There's going to be a lot more vlogs coming soon.